we're all okay. So you guys have had just a couple minutes to think about it. I shared with you guys at one time this was the kingdom of the birds. Millions of seabird colonies nesting on the ground, honey creepers overhead, thousands, millions of birds here. What happened to the kingdom of the birds?
Habitat loss?
We did. Yeah, humans arrived, obviously.
Disease.
Habitat loss.
Malaria?
So who said that one?
Malaria.
Disease, malaria, absolutely. So as humans arrived, and I'm not saying anything bad about any particular group of humans, as we migrate, we bring with us what we'll need for our survival. The first Polynesians here were no different. They brought food they would need with them on their canoes. They brought kalo, taro. You're talking about sugarcane, sweet potato. They brought about 20 to 30 different plants that today we call the canoe plants, because they were brought here as part of what they would need for their new life here. Remember, these are folks that had already colonized throughout the South Pacific. They knew what it took to go from island to island and to set up, colonize a landscape. Some of the species they brought with them were very benign, like many of you know about taro. Taro is great, but in the words of one of my mentors, it plays well with others. You plant it, it stays there. It doesn't hurt anything. So these plants actually contributed to Hawaii's biodiversity. Some things you guys have heard are called non-native invasive. That means where they're native to, nature was keeping them in checks and balances. When those species got introduced, what happened to the king of the birds? Boom! So one of the things that got brought in initially, we think it was a hitchhiker, the Polynesian rat, hitchhiking on a canoe, right? So now all of a sudden tooth and claw is introduced to the kingdom of the birds. If you're a rat and you get here and you got a bunch of Prochardia palms putting out these big fruits with nothing eating through the seed, you've got an unlimited food supply. Did you know our documentation in the South Pacific showed that it took 2 decades for the Polynesian rat double its population once every 58 days to wipe out the entire lowland forest? 20 years to wipe out the whole lowland forest. So again, no fault on the part of the people. This is just a non-native hitchhiker. Dogs, Ilio, when they came here and they found a whole bunch of seabirds nesting on the ground with no fear of ground-based predators. I have a picture of one of my colleagues on Nihoa Island walking up to the seabirds, and they don't move. They stay right there. And if they fly overhead, he's got a camera phone. You can reach up and touch them as they go overhead. Because thousands of years of isolation with no fear of ground-based predators. What did dogs do to that? Momi Momi Preserve over on the island of Molokai got a big fenced-in area for the wedge-tailed shearwaters. One Ilio got through the fence, killed 50 wedge-tailed shearwaters in 1 hour. So it lets you know, oh, I think I'm seeing what happened to the kingdom of the birds. And then one of the species introduced early on, you guys recognize that one? Yeah. Feral pig. Yeah, it was brought here for food. Polynesians introduced a very small pig. It was traded through Southeast Asia. We've been able to track the genetics of that animal all the way through the Pacific. Europeans brought even the larger European pig. These pigs now go through a forest that long ago had given up its nettles, thorns, thistles, right? Briarless briar, nettleless nettle. You guys should know that one, my youth rangers.
Mintless mint.
Mintless mint, mamake, the nettleless nettle, yeah. So why would these plants have given up their defenses? They didn't need them. There was none of these. So when these got here, that's a 70-year-old hapulu fern knocked over in 20 minutes. And in its wake, it leaves stagnant water. Pigs are just doing what they do naturally. They have 2 to 3 litters of piglets a year, and in the stagnant water, what is it? Mosquitoes. She's got it exactly right. By the way, I'm not making this stuff up. We had to do years of surveys, and that's how we had to find it. These aren't staged photos. These are actually the biologists out in the field finding the pig wallows, and inside the stagnant water, right here where my finger is, and I was able to photograph this, clouds and clouds of mosquitoes were pouring out through the forest. And 1 in 4 of the mosquitoes right where you and I are standing, carrying avian malaria